Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today for this really special webinar on relationship first, money second, how to have a healthy romantic relationship when talking about money. Now, I know what great interest our financial social work community has in this topic, not only because of the high registration for today's webinar, but because of the questions we've had around financial infidelity recently. And so, as you can see, we have Dr. Bonnie Weil speaking to us today. And let me tell you about her. She is a renowned international relationship therapist and consultant with over 35 years of experience, and she has a private practice in New York City. She specializes in issues related to dating, marriage, and infidelity. And having spoken with her, I know that she knows what she's talking about, and you are going to benefit from listening to her. She developed a theory for addiction called the biochemical craving for connection and is a 5-time award winner as New York City's best therapist. Dr. Bonnie is the author of 5 books, including the bestseller and New York Times Reader's Choice Award-winning book, Make Up, Don't Break Up, and Financial Infidelity, 7 Steps to Conquering the #1 Relationship Wrecker. She is the author of the book, Adultery, the Forgivable Sin, which was turned into a Lifetime movie called Silence of Adultery. So you can see, I'm very sure that we have a great speaker for you today. We are going to begin with a poll to let you start thinking about the content that Dr. Bonnie will be sharing with us. So we only have 3 polls today, and I'm going to launch this one. So what do you fight with your partner? What do you fight over with your partner the most? Well, while I was reading the question, many of you started without me, but we have a long way to go to get everybody to vote. We're only up to 40% of you. These are anonymous, so we hope that you will share with us. I think the information will be of interest to Dr. Bonnie. So almost 70% of you, okay. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because of all the great material Dr. Bonnie has to share with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and count it down. And then I'll share the results with you. I don't think Dr. Bonnie or any of us here at the Center for Financial Social Work will be too surprised. But here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Over 80% of you voted. And here's the results. Okay. So that must be why we have such a high registration for today. Close to, well, not that close to 50%, but many of you indicated that money is the #1 issue that you and your partner fight over. Okay, so I'm going to hide that and just share with you a little bit about the Center for Financial Social Work, because we know that every time we do a free webinar for our financial social work community, we have new people in attendance, and we'd like them to know why we do these webinars and what financial social work is about. So you'll know the why probably, as we just explained to you, that we believe, and the work is built on the philosophy that financial problems are about a lot more than money. And so our little formula here is that our client's relationship with money and with self is the essence of where it all begins. And those relationships determine the client's financial behavior. That's how they earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And that behavior determines our financial circumstances. And of course, right here is where that magic happens. Because dollars and cents don't make financial choices. So it's about so much more than money and dollars and cents. Where and how we make our financial choices come out of that relationship with our inner money self. We all have one. And if you're not connected to your inner money self, I'd like you to introduce yourself right now and say hello to your inner money self. So financial circumstances originate from within the money self, and your money self includes your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your money and with yourself. And you can see this quote, money is not the problem, it's our relationship with money that's the problem. So the work is all about creating sustainable, long-term financial behavioral change. That's what financial social work is about. Because financial well-being requires a healthier money self. Someone with a healthier money self engages more readily, is more hopeful, is more eager to change, and is more prepared to succeed. And so you can see why we bring you these speakers each month and why we do the work we do. Because financial well-being requires that healthier money self. Financial social work, our certification, our webinars are all about helping our community, our students, our graduates with self-discovery, self-reflection. We provide hope. Hopelessness closes the door to change, and hope opens that door. So that's really important. It's about self-acceptance and self-confidence, setting personal and financial boundaries. Those are just some of the pieces that we address through our financial social work certification and work. It's about bringing people to that place where they're at peace with their money.
Excuse me, Rita, you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay, is this better?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
good. So before we turn it right over to Dr. Bonnie, just a quick overview of the financial social work model. It is about ongoing education, motivation, validation, and support, because we know that that's what people need to create sustainable long-term financial behavioral change. The work is interactive, introspective, and strengths-based. It's successful individually and or with groups, and certainly we have many people who use it in their financial therapy practice. So that's right, we have 2 back-to-back polls, and then we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Bonnie, and we will do these 2 polls and see what you think about them. Okay, so how often, if ever, do you lie or hide purchases from your partner? Over half of you have voted. Okay. Wow. Almost 80% of you have voted. This is a great group. I forgot to tell Dr. Bonnie what a great group we have at our webinars. Okay. So I have one other one to do to give to you. So I'm going to go ahead and count this one down, close it out, show you the results, and give you the last poll for today. 3, 2, 1. 84% of you voted, and let's see the answers. Very interesting. I wonder, maybe when we turn this over to you, Dr. Bonnie, you can tell us if that's the kind of numbers you usually see. Okay, so let me hide that one and give you the last poll, which is just as interesting, I think. Whoops, I better move the slide. So, to the best of your knowledge, how often, if ever, does your partner lie about or hide purchases? Great group. A lot of participation. I think this might be easier for some. Okay. Okay, we're over 85%. So I think I'll go ahead and close that one out, show it to you. So here's the results. Yep. And you can see those. And I don't know if you're planning on talking about that, Dr. Bonnie. I'm guessing you are. So let me close that and go ahead, and turn this over to you and welcome you. Okay. By the way, while Dr. Bonnie is setting up her screen, I just want to tell everyone that she's included some wonderful handouts for you, and we'll remind you to take those a little later. Dr. Bonnie, are you ready?
I'm so happy to be here, and I am really amazed at these polls. And the only thing I can say about the polls is there's no such thing as a small financial fib. And it's, financial infidelity is so subtle that you don't even know that you're cheating. You don't even realize you're doing this because there's like little white lies. So it's very interesting because the real statistics, and again, some of you are, social workers, so I would assume that you guys have really got it together and your partners have it together. And that's why the polls are different than the normal poll is 40% of people lie to their partner and 82% hide purchases. So we've got a lot of together people out there, but when you're helping some of your couples, this is going to be very helpful. So let me start with honesty is the highest form of intimacy. Without honesty, intimacy is compromised. That's why I picked these polls and these questions. And I'm happy that you people are taking the poll to see where you and your partner fall, and also so you can help some of the couples, because I see so far that 43% of you say that you fight over money. So you came to the right place today, and that is why we're doing this. And it's actually, I guess it's the same reason that I wrote my book, Financial Infidelity, because I believe that money, even above sex or children, and 70% of relationships go down the tubes when children are born. So even though that and sex are heavy hitters, money is still the #1 relationship wrecker. So it's interesting for you after the webinar to see what you think with your own life, with your partner, and how honest you really were when you did the polls. And you should actually ask your partner those questions too to see how well you know that person. And also the couples that you work with. Or even I want you to think back to how your parents argued. And over what? Did they argue over money? Did they argue over sex, children, in-laws, chores? And as you know, more and more women are burning out now, and men are stepping up with chores. So as I said, money is important to study because honesty being the highest form of intimacy, without honesty, intimacy can't exist. It's compromised. So let me tell you why money is one of my favorite topics to teaching people about. And that's what spurred me to write my book and to teach my course, Education to Go, online on this. because as you may have guessed, since I love teaching this, I wanted to share this with you. And you may have guessed that it has something to do with my childhood, which is always the way. All my books are autobiography because I feel that's how my patients can learn, by knowing that it's normal and human to struggle and that you can do it. So I saw early on the connection that sex had with money in my own childhood. So let me tell you a little bit about my great parents, who I am so proud of to this day. Through their hard work and therapy, they reached the real life love stage and navigated the power struggle stage with 25 years of my father committing adultery and gambling, and spent the next 25 years in their golden years so happy because the gambling and the adultery stopped from therapy. So I learned from them to work on things, that love and closeness are worth the price, but it does require effort, and you should not give up so easily. And I've passed this on to patients from all walks of life all over the world. And I want to leave you with something that my father said that has always stuck with me in all my sessions. I feel my father sometimes on my shoulder when I give talks to people or when I help people. My father believed it's not where you come from, it's how you finish. And the question I'm asked the most is, if I come from a dysfunctional family, Dr. Weil, can I still soar? Absolutely. The smart heart dialogue and skills that we're going to talk about today, interestingly, I developed with my husband when I was dating him. He was my fiance at the time, and he was having trouble with commitment. So he came up with a lot of the skills that I talk about in the Make Up, Don't Break Up that I teach people. And so that's why I put my story and my parents' story in that book, because I feel it's important for people to know that if I did it and my parents did it, so can you. What we will learn today: why is money a hot button issue and the #1 relationship wrecker? Why do opposites attract in managing and spending money? And actually, they end up neutralizing each other, which we'll go into later. The 8 stages of a relationship and how to reach real-life love despite the struggle over money. How are money and power dynamics intrinsically connected? How do I navigate the inevitable power struggle? How do unresolved family of origin money issues affect you and your partner now? What are the warning signs, and how do you treat the addiction of financial infidelity? Can financial infidelity become infidelity? How is credit card debt and financial mismanagement connected to the brain? Ever wonder why you get a rush when you shop? We're going to find out today. The Smart Heart Tools and Dialogue for Financial and Emotional Balance. Money as a hot button issue. We have more chance of intimacy if we pick a partner with who's opposite. So opposites attract, and you're going to find out why we pick a person who gives us the most trouble. It's our way to finish childhood, like a spender picks a saver, and the Smart Heart Tools and Dialogue to navigate this inevitable power struggle since you pick someone who's opposite. The Smart Heart Tools and Dialogue actually immunize you against breakups. And to find a way out of this struggle replaces the endorphins that are missing from the honeymoon stage. Stay safe and connected. Reclaim safety and trust in the highly charged areas of money. Stop wounding, deceit, and hiding around money. Restore mutuality, clarity, and financial and emotional healing. Money as a stand-in for love, the way to find your partner's heart. These are the stages of a relationship. Very important to understand these around the issue of money. The first stage is euphoria, the honeymoon stage. About 6 to 18 months, you'll see only positive traits, and it's hormone-induced, so there's no rational thought process going on there. Magical thinking, You're glossing over the cute imperfections. Things will work out. The most important stage is the power struggle stage, which I just explained to you. I went through with my husband and my parents went through. This is where most of the work is done. It's the most important one because this is the one when people leave. This is when you see people getting divorced over money or other things. It's because they don't work hard. They need to work harder because Mother Nature set it up in the power struggle stage for you to pick the person who gives you the most trouble. And the challenge in this stage will lead you to intimacy, will lead you to real life love. The transition, these are big transitional events that trigger money problems like marriage, a house, a baby, etc. The next stage is the breakup. The breakup to makeup is a jolt for people to feel appreciated and not get taken for granted. The makeup stage, which is the most fun, you know, they always say the best sex is after a fight. And then re-romanticizing, this is the passion that people don't understand comes from conflict and tension and turmoil. If they fight there is the best thing. Real and lasting love, as I mentioned to you, it usually takes a lifetime to have this, but when you have real and lasting love, there is no power struggle going on. This is a very important diagram that I made for everyone to look at. It's creating the financial vision, what is really important for you to give to your couples or for you and your partner to do. And I also think it's good to do with your family of origin if they're open to it. The first is the ground rules. You need to be proactive, not reactive. Money talks should be done weekly, goal setting and review, and set priorities. Take into account differing emotional rankings, which you'll see on here, because what you think is important, your partner may not. And that's where the power struggle comes in if you don't walk in each other's shoes. Do monthly bills together, both the spender and the saver participate, because very often the spender doesn't involve in the bills, and that's why they keep spending. Reward yourself after with endorphin increasing activities. This is really something that one of my patients came up with. She wears a really sexy teddy when she does these financial visions weekly, and she sees that her husband is more willing to do these money talks. So be very creative and use attachment skills with these money talks. Examining your power dynamic. You want to avoid being right or controlling. This, controlling and being right, brings on sneaky behavior like financial infidelity or even omitting. And I believe that omitting is the same as lying. Agree not to shame and blame, but connect and nurture. And then the money-driven power dynamics that needs to be looked at. Equalize and balance through this money talk that you're having once a week. Who makes the money? How do we spend it? How do we share it? No mother may I. I came up with that because I see a lot of couples where one is the parent and one is the child. Whether they make the money or not, they're kind of asking permission, and it makes them feel infantilized back to childhood. So I came up with there is no mother may I, and you have individual guilt-free accounts that you can spend on that you don't have to ask permission for like you were a child. Respect the different money styles, because remember, you picked a person that was opposite on purpose. If you're a spender, you want to learn how to save. If you're a saver, you want to learn how to spend. And they neutralize each other, so don't be angry. That's the way it's set up to be. One-sided balance of power, it's important to know if it's abusive. So ask yourself these questions, or for the couples that you're seeing, does your partner minimize the importance of money for critical care, tell you that you should not indulge yourself unless he or she agrees to it, tease you with money, manipulate you with, which is what I call crazy making behavior around money, making it your problem, not hers or his. Make you think you are not worth it, quote unquote, spending money on. And also, lastly, have sadistic behavior around money. Now, this is really important in today's world where some women are making more money than men and some men are taking care of the children and they don't have a job. So men, women, power, and money when she earns more. Now, the reason I'm talking about this today is because there's a study that men who are breadwinners are happier. Okay? So if the man doesn't have a job, he's not going to be too happy. Also, men who take influence from their wives and admire their wives are happier. And you know how hard that is because men don't like to be told what to do. So what she needs to do, be his biggest advocate, believe he is as valuable as you are, be open about your work life, work as a team, discuss your paycheck in the context of shared goals, watch your pronouns, appreciate him for what he brings to the relationship and to the table. Don't devalue his work. Use the smart heart dialogue, which we'll go into in a few minutes, when delegating child care and household responsibilities. Now, what does he need to do? Well, he needs to appreciate your sacrifices if you're a woman and acknowledge what she does professionally. Show fondness and appreciation and focus on the positives. Admire her work without resentment and work as a team. Take implements without resentment and have a guilt-free spending fund. Encourage her to travel for work or work late hours. Talk about the role reversal and how hard it is. What you both need to do is take turns paying the bills or pay them together. Be empathetic, walk in the other person's shoes. Acknowledge what she does, prioritize, negotiate, reevaluate, discuss resentments immediately, create moments of fondness and appreciation, and help the spender curb the spending. Risk and power. Risk and power are very, very important because powerful people are more likely to take a risk, and risk-taking people will feel more powerful when they do it. Thrill-seeking can be an addiction. Self-medicating with an adrenaline rush can lead to overspending, financial infidelity, or adultery. I want to tell you a little bit of how I got involved in this. Well, I was doing the brain-body connection for many years before it became popular, because I felt that to help people successfully, we have to look at the brain-body connection. So I call it the biochemical craving for connection. So let me give you an example. Any of the people that you see or people that are listening that have post-traumatic stress disorder, which can come from childhood or anything that happened recently, the hippocampus, which is part of the brain, that size and shape, actually, they've done studies, that looks different when somebody has had some childhood wounds or trauma. And so people that have this post-traumatic stress disorder, they seek out dangerous situations, and this is the kicker, and they feel safe with dangerous situations. That's what we call thrill-seeking behavior. So where does financial mismanagement and financial infidelity and credit card debt come from? It is absolutely linked to the frontal cortex of the brain, where reason and judgment are compromised in these people. So therapy alone is not enough. It's a vicious cycle. To calm the stimulation down, they have to keep revving it up back and forth. So I've done, and you can see some of my videos on blood sugar and hyperglycemia and different things and how everything is all connected. And then you can have a true treatment with someone. Now this is coming from the thrill seeking, it's coming from the dopamine rush. The dopamine is not processed correctly, like say in my father who was a gambler or people that are committing financial infidelity. They look for risk and reward. They look for immediate gratification and thrill seeking. There's no balance with the serotonin and the dopamine, which is very essential to avoid depression and then sometimes bipolar. So how to measure the financial risk in your relationship? These are some questions I'd like you to look at. Plan for emergency. Do you plan for emergency? Do your couples plan for emergency? Do you have high-risk stocks? Do you have home ownership? High interest rate credit cards? Do you pay off minimum monthly credit cards? Do you have an adjustable rate mortgage? 6 months of an emergency money set aside? How about loans from family and friends? And pay yourself before paying your bills. If you had more true, do you need to feel powerful? Quiz I'm giving you is, do you need to feel powerful? It is important that my partner admits that I'm right when I argue. I believe that every argument should end in a firm resolution. I am good at fixing problems. I will not engage in arguments with my partner. I am disappointed when people do not meet my expectations. I am comfortable with a partner who earns more than I do. I expect people to listen when I speak to them. There is only one right answer to a problem. I do not share the password to my bank account or computer, even with my spouse. It does not matter to me if people agree with what I say as long as they still follow my direction. So now when you are looking at this, if you have more true, then you're powerful with money. If you have more false, you need to get more powerful with money. Smart heart skills and dialogue. I am now going to give you the 3 P's, which is prepare, predict, and prevent, and the 3 C's, connection, commitment, and confidence. Don't say yes when you mean no. Visualize partner's goals. Don't keep score with money. Avoid magical thinking, it'll work out somehow. Fact find. Don't mind read. Check in with the person. Never punish or revenge with money, and never omit. I believe it's the same as lying. Now, I wanted to give you some examples so you understand a smart heart dialogue that I developed in the makeup book, and so that you can actually see how it would be. I also have it in the financial infidelity book because I believe that these are actual true case studies with changing, of course, the names around and the people. But I want you to see how this operates and why we get into such trouble and how it can be easily fixed so that money can actually bond you instead of, making you into a power struggle. So what he says, we can't afford to have a baby right now. We both need to keep working. What he may mean, I'm afraid that I can't support a family. I'm concerned that you will want to stop working and I will have too much financial responsibility. This is a huge change and I'm worried about how it will change our relationship. Now here's a smart heart reply that I teach people, and it's pretty easy. So person would be saying, having a baby is a big financial and emotional commitment, and I'm nervous about it too. There's never a perfectly, quote unquote, right time. I still want to have all the things and the time with you that we have planned for, even after the baby. Let's talk about how we can make that happen. Now, this is another smart heart. What she says, you said we couldn't afford a vacation to Europe, and now you've bought season basketball tickets without telling me. What she may mean, I can't trust you and you're selfish. The smart heart reply, I know it's wrong for either of us to make unilateral decisions that involve large amounts of money. It makes me feel childish to have to ask you for permission, that's the mother may I was talking about, to do something that I want to do. I need to be able to make some choices that are just for me and not for us. I need you to understand that just because you bring home the money doesn't mean that you can control it. Now, fighting fair. This is probably the most important part of learning how to avoid a power struggle, because most of my patients are afraid of fighting, and in fact, my couples that are highest in adultery and financial infidelity are polite marriages. Polite meaning they don't fight. They always come in and go, oh, we're so happy, Dr. Weil, we don't fight. No, that's not good. Because if you're incompatible, you're compatible. You are opposites. You are attracted to each other to neutralize each other. You need the challenge. You need the turmoil. You need the conflict. That is what brings passion. But you need to know the smart heart's tools to manage the conflict. And nobody knows how to manage conflict because in the honeymoon stage, there is no conflict. It's just the hormones doing the work. So when you're different, there are more chances for intimacy, like you saw with my parents, but it's work. So passion comes from the conflict and tension, as I just said. And so don't despair when money issues come up. You want the passion to come from the conflict. So fighting fair, which is certain ways to fight, we're not talking about regular fighting without ground rules, can give us passion. And as I said, polite marriages can lead to adultery and financial infidelity. I can't stress that enough. So here are the 11 rules for fighting fair. Ask permission. If your partner is not ready to talk, reschedule for within 24 hours. And that's very important because most people will ask permission for when it's good for them. You have to ask permission for the person you're asking to talk to, because you do not want your husband, when he hasn't eaten all day or he just came back from a 2-hour traffic situation. Put time limits on fighting. Men can only handle 10 minutes. When I first met my husband, it was 30 seconds he could handle. He can handle 10 now. So just remember, women can go on for 4 hours. So you want to take time outs so that they're listening to you. Do not ignore your partner. Use I sentences rather than you, which are blame and shame. Echo what you hear and validate your partner's feelings. Empathize. Walk in the person's shoes. Be honest without being hurtful. Honesty can be cruelty if you don't cushion things. Detach from your emotions before, during, and after each fight. Practice attachment skills. My husband came up with this where he dances me around the room whenever we have a disagreement, because it gets the endorphins back up, and then you feel, more attached to that person and more happy with that, and more willing to come up, number 11, with a solution and behavior change because you're in a better mood. Contracts for financial fidelity. This is really important, and you guys can personalize this to your couples that you deal with or to your own self. But I'm going to give you like an example of what I do with my couples, and also what I do in my own life with my husband. Be conscious of each other's person's love and money maps. Be proactive, not reactive. Remain educated about our financial situation. Face financial issues head on to strengthen the relationship. Expect change and prepare for it. Appreciate change and use it to your relationship's advantage. You want change, and it's positive. Never sneak and never lie. Stay focused on your values. Understand, compromise, and work toward goals commonly together. Continue to respond in new ways and try different solutions. Never use money as a reward or punishment. In other words, no revenge spending. Be clear about the issue at hand and be willing to negotiate for a compromise. And always put your relationship first and money second. Now we're looking at the family moneygram, which I developed, okay? And when you marry, just so you understand, you marry the money behaviors of that person and their family. So this is why I came up with this family moneygram, and I want people to do this for 3 generations. What it does, it helps you with the unconscious, because most of this is unconscious, the legacy coming down from the generation. And so you're going to make it conscious by looking at the money scripts and beliefs. It's essential in navigating the power struggle. So now I developed a key for the MoneyGram, which you can see so that you know how to do it. And it's great if you could do it with your parents, if you have grandparents, if you have great-grandparents, you can ask your parents about your great-grandparents or your grandparents. And the whole family gets to really see how this operates. In fact, sometimes you get to even help the parents and the grandparents, even though that's not your purpose. So some of these, as an example, worried, cautious spender, worried, cautious saver, generous giving, no savings, do they have a retirement fund, people that started over, people that sabotage with money, bankruptcy, sexual infidelity has to be on there, and separation because of financial infidelity. These are just some of the things on the key. Now, my MoneyGram, I decided to be very open, and my husband agreed, in the financial infidelity book to show you, because I really think it's important to look at the traits of like the money belief. Like for instance, in my family, it's like live for today, and my grandmother was worried and cautious about money. And my father's belief was you can always make more. You know, relationships are more important. And my mother was always doing the layaway. In those days, it was like, you know, like almost like a credit card that they didn't have yet. And my dad was a risk taker. So also a lot of my family started over financially. Now, one thing I want to say, which is kind of odd, in my 35 years, I have never ever seen a couple that was not opposite in the way they had money styles. Well, it's probably the reason because that's why they come to me. But in my family, this is very odd, but my parents are actually the same. They did not pick each other because they're opposite. They both are spenders, and my husband and myself also both spenders. So we are not opposites. So I just wanted to say that because you may see that in your own family or in yourself and say, oh, what is she talking about? So it can happen. It's just very rare. Warning signs of addiction and financial infidelity. These are the signs: maxed out credit cards, applying for new credit cards constantly, cash missing or accounted for, hoarding cash, objects, or things, secret withdrawals from joint accounts, unexplained credit card bills or transfers, unexplained selling of investments, refusal to discuss finances, case closed I call it, no sense of spending or debt, you depend on others to help you control your spending, and excessive betting on harmless things, lack of empathy, giving up one thing but substituting another, constantly overspending your budget, and uncontrolled spending disguised as business. Now, I want to teach people how to confront financial infidelity. So I thought it was really important to give you also the smart heart dialogue, how to confront financial infidelity. So the first is be direct, not critical. Set boundaries in a loving and empathetic way. Offer support. Validate your partner's feelings. Use loving language. Make your partner feel safe. Remain calm and allow your partner to speak while you listen with unconditional love. Do not make threats. Allow yourself time to grapple with your anger and pain. The wrong way. In the desk drawer, I found bills for credit cards that you didn't tell me about, and I'm surprised by how much debt we have that I was unaware of. The defensive response. Why are you blaming me for running up the credit card bills? We're not in danger of losing the house, so I don't see why you suddenly think my spending is a big deal. The right way. You must be so stressed and lonely. I know my working late nights and on weekends contribute to this big time. I want to help you with a plan for the credit card debt that's accumulated, probably from your weariness. Let's sit down and make a plan together. I really love you. The smart heart reply, I'm afraid that you're going to be angry that our debt has increased because I've been spending on myself. I'm angry that you don't feel I deserve to treat myself well, and I'm afraid that you will leave and I will lose both your love and my financial security. Here's an example of what to do to confess financial infidelity, okay? And then this is a smart heart dialogue as well. The first is be sensitive to timing. If your partner's mother is in the hospital or there was just a death, you don't start talking and confessing. Reassure your partner of your love. Keep talking and listening for as long as it takes for your partner to process his or her feelings. Allow the person to throw darts at you. Don't get angry that they're angry. Validate any feelings of betrayal or abandonment instead. Tell the truth about whether you can or intend to stop your harmful money behaviors. Be willing to answer questions about your financial infidelity. Apologize and show remorse, very important. But don't promise what you can't deliver. Stop the behavior, change your patterns, and ask for help. Here is how to bring up that I've committed financial infidelity. I love you so much, and I wanted to be a good breadwinner and give you the lifestyle you never had growing up. You mean the world to me. I really screwed up, and you have every right to be furious with me. I need to tell you that I've been investing our savings in the stock market, and I've made some very bad decisions, trying to make a quick buck. I should have told you before, but I was hoping I could repair the damage. The angry response, how could you jeopardize our future in this way? That money was mine too. I make more money than you do, but always felt that we were equal partners. Is that why you took control? It's like you have stolen from me. How can I ever trust you? The power struggle fallout. Whoever makes the money doesn't necessarily have the control, and I'm not sure who has the power in this relationship. I make the money, but you feel free to use it as you please without consulting me. Even if you feel inadequate because you don't earn as much, that doesn't give you the right to make unilateral financial decisions. Here's a smart heart reply. You do make more money than I do. And while I'm proud of your career, I feel lonely when you work long hours and unimportant when my paycheck doesn't measure up to yours. I was feeling powerless and investing in the markets seemed like a good way to boost our savings and my self-esteem. I understand that you are angry and you feel like I have jeopardized our future. I totally get that. I love you and I want to regain your trust. Let me show you the accounts and we could talk about it together, how to make up the losses. I want to work through this together and promise that from now on, we will discuss and share financial responsibility. I would like to conclude and say to all of you, thank you for listening today. I so enjoyed teaching and enlightening you about money, the #1 relationship wrecker and hot button. Before I open this up and answer questions that you may have, I also wanted to let you know that I want you to please feel free to reach out to me, and I invite you personally and individually to call me for questions or a consult. The books and links are here, The Make Up, Don't Break Up, The Smart Heart Dialogue, and the stories of my life and my parents, and on dating and couples, and Financial Infidelity, the link to the book where I took some of this material from. And I welcome you to look at my course online, Education to Go, called Marriage and Relationship Keys to Success, where I have a lot on money and how to handle money issues, as well as my website, email, and I have a phone number because I like to personally address questions with people, not just email, which is impersonal. For more contracts, I just wanted to mention, I mentioned this before, you know, these contracts that I mentioned to you, they're very personalized. But I have some contracts for like people that commit adultery and then never want to do it again. That's in Adultery, the Forgivable Sin. I have contracts in the Financial Infidelity book, and in the Makeup book, we have contracts like for chores and things like that. So I also have videos on the YouTube, and there are 2 videos that I specifically made for our talk on financial infidelity and the biochemical craving for connection, the brain-body connection, which hopefully you all will be looking at because it helps with financial infidelity and gambling to prevent that. Thank you all. I really enjoyed helping you and discussing my favorite topic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bonnie. That was really very informative. Okay, that was wonderful. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in the question box, and we're going to take them in just another minute. I did want to mention that our own financial social work certification is a self-study and self-paced program that our students have 6 months to complete, and there is an online final exam that our students have 2 weeks to complete, and it includes 20 CEUs from the National Association of Social Work. You can see that we are now in Wikipedia, and of course we've been in the online Encyclopedia of Social Work for some time, and our course is taught at the University of Kentucky. So if you look in that rectangle in the upper right-hand side, you will see a place for handouts, and if you click on the handouts, you can open up some of the wonderful handouts that Dr. Bonnie prepared for you, and I'm sure you all appreciate that. So make sure to get those. And now we will take a look at the questions you may have. Let me see. Okay. You will have access to some of those tools in the handout that Dr. Bonnie has for you here. Dr. Bonnie, someone wants to know the title of those YouTube videos.
If you click on that link, it will be on the YouTube channel will have it, and it's Dr. Bonnie Eaker Weil, E-A-K-E-R-W-E-I-L, and that is all of my YouTube videos are on there, and there are 2 specifically on financial infidelity that you will see about the brain-body connection. But there are, of course, other topics like infidelity, the biochemical craving for connection, narcissism, how to deal with a narcissistic person, how to deal with a Disney dad, you know, different things like that.
Okay.
So just click on the link that we have for you. We tried to make it easy for you. Just click on that link and it'll all come up for you.
Please repeat the instructions for downloading the handouts. You should just be able to click. You should see the handouts in that rectangle, and it's a clickable link. And once you open it up, you can save it. It has all of this information for contacting Dr. Bonnie and some of those wonderful forms that she reviewed in her webinar. It's someone.
Oh, you know, I might want to say that because they didn't download yet I have a page which explains where they can get the link actually to the YouTubes and to all my books and to my website, which I think if they can download it, they'll see it. That's probably why, you know, they asked that question, because it's actually on the paper that it's on the handouts that you all download now. You will see all my information of how to reach me and also reach the videos, which I know, you know, very helpful to everybody, and the books, and just to talk to me in general.
No.
So hopefully, if the handouts will help you. That you should be getting them like right now if you're downloading it.
Some of you have been great in trying to. Okay. Some of you are saying the download isn't working. Some of you are figuring it out. You have to click on that orange or red button, apparently. And I see that you're all kind of helping each other out, which is really nice. You should be able to download it. No other specific questions for Dr. Bonnie? Okay. Well, I, for one, really appreciate this wonderful session that you provided us with Dr. Bonnie. And we really appreciate your being here. And thank you to everyone. Someone asked how they can know about future webinars. If you go to our website at financialsocialwork.com and just put in your email, then you will get the invitation to all of our upcoming webinars when we try to do one every month.
Excuse me,
go ahead.
Rita, someone's asking how to use the money genogram in a group coaching session.
How to use the MoneyGram in a group setting, you mean, like with couples or even students or whatever?
Yes.
What you would do is you would ask for somebody brave to, volunteer, and they will do their family. I mean, they can either come in person, which my parents did, or you could do it by asking your family beforehand some of the questions. And then you sit there and you demonstrate by picking, or you can have a couple come in that is having a problem and have them go through with you. A lot of this has to be done a little bit before that, because they have to go home and ask the questions, to their parents or their grandparents or whatever. But that is a wonderful idea, is to have people sitting in a group and learning together, and you will be amazed how the power struggle will end with this and Smart Heart Dialogue. Without doing the MoneyGram, I do not feel there is any chance for couples, because they're just acting out their unfinished business from childhood. They're not going to see that they're neutralizing each other. They're not going to see the positives in opposites attract. And they're not going to see the value in getting greater intimacy through navigating the power struggle stage, with the attunement and the attachment skills from the Smart Heart Dialogue. So that is a wonderful idea. And you have the key there. And you'll also have the demonstration of the money beliefs that I showed you from my husband's and my family. And all of this is demonstrated in the financial infidelity 7 Steps to Conquering the #1 Relationship Wrecker if you need more help with it. And of course, I'm available if you need to call me or ask for help or want me to help with it as a consultant. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Okay, well, thank you, and thanks, everyone. You will receive a copy of this recording because you registered. It will also be posted on our Facebook page, on our blog, and on our YouTube channel. So you don't receive the deck, you do receive the recording. I'm trying to see what other questions. So you can go through it and watch it again and take your time if you need to. And we appreciate your coming today. There is no CE credit. That's a question that is asked a lot. It takes a lot of time and money to offer CE, so we would have to charge for these webinars, and we prefer to offer them to our financial social work community for free. I think that's about it. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of the day. We have a great webinar for you next month and look forward to seeing you back here again. Dr. Bonnie, thank you so very much, and take good care now, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed helping.
Good. Bye now.
Thank you.